Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Your Brain on Air. I am your host, Ollie Vogt Larson. And allegedly, Mitch McConnell has been brain dead in the hospital for the last 3 weeks. Listen, many are debating if he's even alive. This is directly contradicting the claims we've been hearing from his team that he's been continuing to recover, briskly, like a young man with energy, like we know him to be. Listen, some have been saying that they've been in touch with Mitch McConnell. This would mean they've either been lying to the press and to us, or they've been lied to. Maybe they got an impressionist. I mean, it's really not that hard to mimic his voice. It's just kind of like you press your own head into your neck and you'll kind of get that resonance, that tone. And this all started back on June 14th. Senator Addison Mitch McConnell Jr., yes, that is his real first name, Addison. About a month ago, he was found unconscious in his home in Washington, D.C. We still don't know much about which hospital he's being treated at. We don't know exactly what condition is ailing him. And listen, this would not be his first run-in with the doctor. Listen, he's had a long documented history of medical issues. He's had flu-like symptoms back in February. He spent at least a week in the hospital being evaluated for those symptoms. He's had so many falls and injuries. Everybody knows about them because they've been memed to death. One instance in a Washington, D.C. hotel in March 2023 resulted in a concussion and a minor rib fracture. He also fell in December 2024, spraining his wrist, and in 2019 undergoing surgery for a fractured shoulder. Holy shit. Many public freezing episodes, we've all known about that. The highly publicized one back in summer 2023, where he just kind of stopped speaking during the news conference and then had to be assisted by colleagues off. Oh, the childhood polio, that I'm sure isn't very good for him, where he contracted it at the age of 3. It caused lingering, lifelong impacts on his mobility. And also his ability to walk and climb stairs. His heart surgery that he underwent back in the year of our Lord when I was born, back in 2003. Andy Bashir wouldn't even get to choose this guy's replacement if he died, by the way. Like, some people were speculating that. They're wrong, by the way. There would be a special election held. There were incorrect theories around the internet that if he was dead, the Republicans are going to hide it because the Democratic governor of Kentucky, Andy Bashir, he's going to choose the successor. That's not true. Like I said, the special election would be held where they would choose a successor. So what's the likely future for this seat in the Senate until he kicks it? So let's run down the options. Expulsion. That would remove him from his seat if it would result in an election being held for his replacement. However, this is if they were to get a 2/3 majority in the Senate on this vote, which, let's be honest, they're not likely to do. They actually realize that he's probably better this way. He's gonna contradict Trump less. He's actually gonna go along more with votes. It's actually gonna be better. They're gonna have an auto voter like with Joe Biden, where he had the auto pen. So the other option is resignation. He resigns from the Senate. Well, that would be really nice, but unfortunately, you can't exactly resign when you're unconscious. So, Kentucky voters, your senator, whose wife, by the way, is not by his side during all this. Where is she? Glad you asked. In China. Why is she there? She's meeting with the Chinese vice president. What? Okay. Elaine Chao, if you're unfamiliar, wife to Addison Mitch McConnell Jr., is in China. She went there 3 days after her husband allegedly entered a coma, and the wife of a sitting U.S. senator meeting with the Chinese vice president. Listen, I'm one to say that Tim Walz's Chinese ties are weird, but he only has the power to ruin my home state, not the power to ruin the entire country. Thank God he was prevented from becoming vice president. I honestly think that she should have went with Shapiro. I don't like him personally because of his commitments to Israel. He's that guy who signed the bomb, literally. It's such a great video of him. Whatever. This woman, with her influence, her Edith Wilsoning of her husband, Mitch McConnell's situation, she could and would ruin the entire country with policy. Guys, ties to the Chinese are weird for any U.S. government official. Democrat or Republican, independent, whatever the fuck you claim to be. You should not be running for governor, congressman, or senator if you're like a Maoist. Can we get on that equal footing? Like, I feel like that's somewhere where we can all go, okay, we're comfy. We're comfy with the idea of saying Maoists are not allowed to serve in the United States government. I mean, listen, I don't know what this woman's going to do. She's probably going to Edith Wilson it. She's probably going to be voting for him behind the scenes. We don't know. Maybe she's going to be having dinners with the Chinese, which is just so fucking weird. I don't know why no one in mainstream media is talking about where honestly, I almost said her because his first name of Addison is confusing me, where his wife is. I feel like that when anybody meets with the Chinese and they are even the wife of a sitting government official, I think it's kind of important. Folks, folks, I want to talk about something else. Mitch McConnell, he makes me sad. I'm going to miss him because he reminds me of the past. I'm an Obama-era kid. That's kind of where I formulated a lot of my most memories, you know what I mean? I was born during the second Bush era. I was not born in the 90s with the first Bush era, the early 90s, late 80s. I was born in the early 2000s where we had baby Bush. A lot of people, they're like, oh yeah, I remember him coming up. I remember he was this, Texas senator, not senator, he was the governor. And, people don't remember him much for the fact that he used to make up words a lot. Bushisms. God, we remember Bushisms. I wasn't there to live it, but I've seen the clips everywhere. And I know that this was a very fond era for a lot of people because I've heard even Democrats nowadays telling me I weirdly miss the Bush era because it feels better than the era we're living in now with the current Republican in office. And obviously that's going to be the case. Trump is unhinged. He is very bold in his nature. And Bush wanted to be the usual. He wanted to be kind of a pencil neck, but he also wanted to throw the first pitch at a baseball game now and then. He wanted to be a partial owner of the Texas Rangers. He wanted to have fun while he was going to be president. Yes, he's going to join secret societies just like his great granddaddy Prescott Bush. No, his granddaddy Senator Prescott Bush and his father George H.W. Bush, who married Aleister Crowley's daughter. Not a lot of people know that, but that's okay. Aleister Crowley's daughter is Barbara Bush. It's okay. Not a lot of people know that. They will come to know that eventually. Folks, there's warlords stashing their money in South Dakota, other states. Look it up. It's offshore banking industry is popping off, and the United States is getting into it a lot, and it's about to even more. Do you know where our new HQ is going to be? Cuba. Folks, Cuba is collapsing. I called this about 2 weeks ago. Even before that, we've been discussing how the Cuban people, they're low-key, it's donezo. It's over for them. Blackouts rolling across the country. Hospitals, they're not able to stay open. Civilians being armed by the government and being told to be ready for a foreign invasion. That's probably not coming, by the way. If we know what's good for us, we realize that a land invasion or a by sea invasion, that's not going to do us any good. We need a by-the-people revolution in order to get any sort of, meaningful change in that society. You need by the ground. You need people that's why Iran was never going to work. The Quran does not breed a people of independent thought. It breeds a people that are they want to, they're very drone-like. They're kind of like Catholics. They want to cover their women up and they want to beat them if they misbehave. They're very by the book and whatnot, and they are very self-flagellating folks. They're not the types for a revolution. Just to put it very plainly. I'm going to be honest with you. So listen, what is the next choice? Very likely for this very Catholic population, Cuba. You know what I mean? Use it on local Capitol buildings. Fuck it. They probably have bread and water in there. They probably have a generator. Chaos, true chaos, folks. The government coming to save nobody. They're like, fuck it. I got to feed my kids. Babies are crying in the middle of the night. There's fires everywhere. Cars turned over. True chaos is coming for the Cuban people. It's tragic. It's terrible, and it's future profit. Guys, let's get real. Once we quell the riots, once we pay off a few local gangs, have them restore order their neighborhoods, the casinos that we're going to build, the resorts we're going to build, the retiree communities. Fuck sending your old people to Florida. That's not good enough. They still have the highway system to where they can make it back to your place in Nebraska. You got to send them over a body of water. All right, you got to make those fuckers fly. They're not the type to figure out how to get a ticket on their phone. They're the types that are going to print it off. Oh my God, that is by the way, if you get printed tickets, you are at the airport. You are of a certain generation, and I love you. Thank you for keeping that practice alive. Most of the people, they're just faggy and they use their little phone and whatnot. No, you got to get the solid ticket. You got to be verified because guess what? Your phone could die. I understand millennial, I'm 20, 30 something years old. I want to use my phone for everything. Shut the fuck up. You're not a real thinker. You got to think about the logistics. You could lose that phone any second. You know what you're not going to lose? A solid paper ticket, because you're going to feel an emotional quality to it. It's something new. It's a novelty. You might even keep it after you ride on that plane. And you know what? Those boomers, they're not going to figure out the mechanical tickets. They're not going to have Kristi Noem whining at them about how you're going to need your real ID. No, if you send your old folks to Cuba, say goodbye. Because unless you go to visit them, you're never going to see them again. And that's what people want. Cuba will be the new Florida. It will be a subject state of the United States, forced to do whatever we want now because our military presence here is the only reason that you can feed your children again. I mean, not very much. Not as much as the tourists are feeding their kids in the resorts none of you or the locals are able to afford or go to, but there will be bodegas. There's going to be bread again, full of preservatives, but bread. And electricity so you can cook your genetically modified egg and make some microplastic omelets with your, plastic fucking utensils. Welcome to America, Cuba. We're happy to have you. Much happier than you will be to have us, I promise you. Let's get a little bit of this from the mainstream media, just so you know I'm not bullshitting you on how bad Cuba's getting. It is not a right-wing talking point. It's bad down there.
Cuban officials saying the electric grid has collapsed, the blackout leaving around 10 million people on the Caribbean island without power. An investigation now underway to discover the cause. And here's a live look at Havana, a city already battling scattered blackouts, an aging grid, and a U.S.-imposed oil blockade. It's made it nearly impossible for Cubans to work or sleep in the Caribbean heat. The country has frequently struggled to keep the lights on during a years-long economic crisis as well. We're going to stay on top of this story for you.
Listen, I love that people will try to blame the United States for it because of the economic crisis, because of the embargo, and admittedly, we have a part to play in this. They could be a self-sustaining island. Many islands are capable of it. And Cuba is constitutionally defined as a socialist state government governed by the Marxist-Leninist one-party Communist Party of Cuba. In practice, it is both the government adheres to the socialist economic model with heavy state control, and they're officially operating under the political ideology of communism. So, yes, you can blame the United States for any degree. You can go, they cut off their oil. They have oil reserves. They have the capability to get their own oil, except they haven't invested in their own industry enough. They don't have the ability to function as an independent nation. They've always been a subject state of a greater empire. And unfortunately, they are going to realize that soon. They're going to understand that they do not have either the gusto, the manpower, or, let's just call it what it is. The ingenuity, money to make it work. They just really don't. It's not unfolding well for them. So let's just call it what it is. It's going to be a resort city. It's going to be like this beautiful Havana will no longer be a place for the native populations. It is going to be invaded by the elderly that are going to be whining about what is carne asada and shit. It's going to be they're like huevos rancheros. What is a huevos and shit. And you're going to have to teach these old there are going to be so many white people from fucking Minnesota. It's going to be like, who is this guy named Binjik Lundy or something like that? It's going to be the weirdest last names that you're not going to be able to pronounce. And you're going to be like, what are these fucking stupid white people doing coming here and ruining the culture? This used to be a culture where people played in the streets. Now all the fucking white people, they just get HOAs. What is an HOA? All the white people, they see people playing out in the streets, kicking a ball around, and they go, get out of here. Get out of here. You're making too much noise. White people just kill the vibe. I'm going to be honest with you, and Cuba's going to have to deal with it. Cuba's going to have to deal with the flood of old white people that are going to be sent down there here in the oncoming years. It is going to be a tidal wave of old people that we realize, it's too expensive to house them anywhere outside of Miami, Tampa, fuck any of those Florida cities. You know where we're going to send you? It's going to be like, when your parents didn't want to send you to that decent summer camp that was maybe it cost a little bit extra, but they had things like a canoe, they had things like electricity, they had things like that. So your parents just sent you with some pedophile in a van, and he had 3 other kids, and he was like, all right, we're gonna learn knot making or some shit now. That is literally that we are gonna you as a result of your parents going cheap on you for your childhood back in the 80s and 90s, where they didn't spend very much on Nerf guns for you, they didn't buy you what you wanted to. You are going to pay back the favor by being just as cheap in their old age. And guess what? They've earned it. Guess what? My mom was pretty generous to me, so she has a pretty decent old age to look forward to. You know what I mean? She got me what are the little squishy things that were Star Wars themed that she got me those when I asked for them one time at Walmart. That's exactly what I mean, is that be nice to your kids and they will treat you well in the future. She's got a nice, I don't know. We're going to sort out maybe somewhere in like Orlando. That would be nice. I know that it's like the heat is like a major issue. You know what I mean? You don't want anywhere that's like too humid, and Florida's only getting worse. I don't want my mother or a stepfather washed away in a hurricane. So I got to think about you got to think about the logistics. Where are you going to store your parents when they get to a certain age? You got to think about that realistically, because eventually, obviously, I trust my parents. They're commonsensical people, but not everybody has commonsensical parents. There are some people that are going to have to sort out where their parents are going into their old age. Do you not believe me? There are some people that are literally taking care of their parents. They're like, let me go ahead and sort through their paperwork for them. I'll make sure that their bills are on time. Like, people's parents are like pseudo children. And then guess what? You don't want to deal with that forever. You really don't want to. And I don't think, my parents have never been the types to ask for anything. They're always very on it. They're always very yep, we got our shit in order. And that is why I'm not worried. I'm they've got it. If they I just need to figure out a place where I can sneak them in a bottle of Dewar's, you know what I mean? Like a nice bottle of wine or something, and then we can just party there. I can go visit her every week. That would be awesome. That is the setup. That's what everybody wants. And I understand. Not everybody has parents that are willing to try to work with them to find a good old folks community. Many of them are like, I want to live in my home. I paid for this home my whole life, and I'm going to die in this home. And some people are very territorial. It's mostly men. I'm just going to tell you. It's mostly men that are like, I'm going to die in this house. It's like, what is this? Why do you want to just decay in here? Don't you want to go have nurses tend to you a little bit? Sure, they're going to if you give them a problem, they're going to beat you a little bit and steal some of your money that you have. But that's about it. The orderlies just do that. You have to expect that. But I'm going to make sure before I send my parents anywhere, I'm going to be like, do your nurses beat people here? And then even then I'm gonna have my mom wear a GoPro or something like that, where I'm just gonna make sure. You have to make sure with these people, because they're sneaky. They'll give your old mom an Indian sunburn if she's really annoying them. This is I'm being honest with you. Old folks' homes are the scariest places, because you have to make sure that they're not beating your elderly person. Because when you're old, you just bruise. Sometimes that's just a fact. If you've been around old people and whatnot, you understand that sometimes they just get black and blue just from living. And then it's oh shit, I really don't know. I really don't know whether or not maybe my grandma just didn't want to get in the shower and she beat on some lady. It's that is an unnerving, scary feeling. You got to make sure that you can trust your local old folks home. What are we even talking about anymore? Oh yeah, this was relating back to Cuba and whatnot. I have to ask my mom, what would she think about if I found a good village in Cuba? Very no crime, none of that nonsense. It's next to a vineyard, something like that. And I will fly down. I'll fly down every month. Maybe I'll have the money. Maybe we'll figure out something. Maybe me and the Trump sons, after they make their billions, we're going to talk about their tax situation in our second story. But me and the Trump sons will figure out something where I can come down there. I'll visit my parents, and we're going to have a good time next to this vineyard in this village in Cuba after we've conquered it. Isn't that, listen, when I paint it that way, you're hearing it and you're going, I kind of like it. I kind of like the idea of sending my parents somewhere cheaper. The land there is not going to be nearly as expensive. Sure, it's tropical, but it's known as this coal country, this jungle, this dirtyville. But really, when you go there, it's kind of beautiful, but the property value is so undervalued. That's what I mean, is that send your old folks there while you can. It's going to be so many old folks, and I have to make sure that I buy my parents a vineyard before they get bought up. I just got to make sure. Ladies and gentlemen, let's move on to our first story. Why don't we? This is our first story, and we're already 20 minutes in. Charlie Kirk's alleged killer could face the death penalty if prosecutors, their petition succeeds. So, in Utah this week, prosecutors are fighting to keep the death penalty on the table for the man accused of assassinating conservative activist Charlie Kirk. 23-year-old Tyler James Robinson, we're going to be the same age tomorrow, is currently facing a 5-day preliminary hearing in Provo. I had a teacher named Mrs. Provo. And I was always like, is she from Utah? And she's very nice. She could be Mormon. I was always like, maybe there's a chance. But whatever. The state judges will decide if there is enough evidence to send the case to trial. Prosecutors have formally petitioned for the capital punishment, arguing that the high-profile campus shooting constitutes as aggravated murder. And you know what? They want to make an example. I understand that. They're going, this is just some trans furry kid. No, he dated a trans furry kid, but he himself is a furry who's dating a trans cranny. No one's going to care if we publicly execute this guy to make an example for all the Redditors and all the Discord mods. Hey, if you actually come after real officials or not really even officials, if you come after podcasters, we're gonna make an example of you and we're gonna kill you. We're gonna kill you in prison. We're gonna send you to the rape corner and we're gonna have you just like, you will be, what is the term that they use? A pincushion for many of these gentlemen. It's unfortunate. It's terrible. It's evil. It's gonna be like that scene from The Mick where the dad, his cellmate was like, you don't need those teeth anymore. It's like, that's what it is. All right. The defense team has fought aggressively to block the death penalty. Why? Like, you think this kid's innocent? He might be. Honestly, I'm like 30% sure he's the shooter. 70% is leaving room for, the intelligence agencies, Israel, the rest. Recently accusing the prosecution of launching a media tour that could taint the potential jury pool. While the judge did find the prosecution in civil contempt for making public comments about bullet fragment evidence, he ultimately denied the defense's request to take the death penalty off the table. Government lawyers are basing the capital case on aggravation circumstances, arguing that the firing of the rifle into a crowd of thousands in a Utah Valley University last September inherently put the countless lives, innocent ones, in the immediate danger. I guess they don't consider Charlie to be an innocent life. During the dramatic opening days of the hearing, the court heard chilling testimony from the law enforcement officials, including a former campus officer who described finding an apparent sniper pad on the nearby rooftop overlooking the event. State investigators also outlined a mountain of physical evidence linking Robinson to the crime, including DNA found on the trigger of the suspected murder weapon. Additionally, the charging documents detailing a confession note Robinson allegedly left for his roommate, stating that he had the opportunity to take Kirk out and was going to take the opportunity because he had grown tired of his political messaging. So, Erica, she showed up in the courtroom. She allegedly left right when they started talking about his final moments. Her and she was there with his parents and whatnot. They all stormed out of the room, and it's like, it's performative. To me, performative.
The man accused of killing conservative activist Charlie Kirk is due.
Like, if I was assassinated, which I probably will be, but if I'm ever assassinated, I expect my mother and I expect my father, I expect them both to hold my fiance, then wife's hands. I expect them to be arm in arm, and I expect them to go in the courtroom. And when they give the details of my final moments, I expect them to sit there and understand that, listen, I died for a good cause. I died for a good cause. I understand this show is silly. I understand this show is ridiculous. And I understand that, dying for the ability to say that I had a fake joke relationship with the Trump brothers, I get it. It's kind of a silly thing to die over. But you know what? I died for something that I believed in. What did I really believe in? That, we're developing a message as we go.
Back in court today, prosecutors are seeking the death penalty in the case against Tyler Robinson. Aggravated murder, obstruction of justice, and witness tampering are just some of the criminal charges against this 23-year-old. Robinson has yet to enter a plea. CBS News legal reporter Katrina Kaufman joins us now to discuss what took place during this hearing. Katrina, good morning. Welcome
Katrina.
Back. This is not the trial, so what is the purpose of this hearing?
Yeah, good morning, Errol. So it does feel like a mini trial, but what this is actually more like a grand jury proceeding. Utah has this system where they have a preliminary hearing. It's before the judge, so there's no jury in there, and the prosecution actually has to present evidence and witnesses. Now, the bar is not as high as a trial. They'll have to prove, if they go to trial, that Tyler Robinson is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Here they just have to prove probable cause, that they have reasonable grounds to be prosecuting him, that this trial can move forward. And so that's why he hasn't been arraigned yet, and we don't actually know what he's going to plead here.
That's quite fascinating. So this is almost a preview to a potential trial. What then stood out to you from the testimony that we heard yesterday?
Yeah, so we are hearing from police officers who were on the scene, the lead investigator for this case, only 2 witnesses so far. One thing that stood out is they were showing videos in court, and not all of these were viewable to the gallery or to us who are watching via the YouTube link, but there was one, it was a video of the shooting, I believe, where the judge was watching it privately, and reporters in the room said that they did see him noticeably flinch while watching that video, Errol. And, this is very hard video to watch. This is a shooting that took place amongst a crowd of people. one of the officers.
I will be honest, it is not that shocking to watch. Maybe it's because, the live leak generation, whatever, they grow up watching the beheading videos and whatnot. It's not even that. It's that, it's just kind of, it happened. You know what I mean? You watch the Charlie Kirk video. I have it saved on my phone. I'm not going to say where or why. Listen, it's a moment in history, and the moment that I saw it on my X page, I was like, fuck, I'm saving this shit. And then, and fortunately enough, the original poster has not had it taken down, you know what I mean? So I can go back and I can see this clip over and over, because it's like the Zapruder film. And listen, I'm not going to be shamed for keeping this footage of a man's assassination in very close-up image. It's so, you can see the details, you can see it all go down. I go back and I watch it every now and then, because I just like to remind myself of the fragility of life. I like to think about the idea that, you can be up to whatever it is you're doing. You can be, thinking that you're changing minds, understanding that people might not be happy with what you're saying, but that you can be out there one day and some motherfucker can just kill you. You can just die. And that's just it's something that I think about a lot. It's not something that I think about. I try not to think about it too much, admittedly. You can't think about it very much, especially when you do a show like this, because eventually it's just going to cloud every moment of your thoughts. It's going to be well, okay, then, I can't feel safe anywhere. But then I realize I have some degree of anonymity. It's not as though my face is hidden. It's easy to find my face online. It's not very hard. But you think about that. You go well, okay, maybe someone can understand that maybe they don't particularly enjoy my sense of humor. Maybe they don't enjoy what I'm doing here. That's perfectly fine. They can have whatever opinion they want, but that some goon can just come out there and kill you. It's just a crazy thought. It's also just a low-key, it looks like it's out of a movie, so of course I was going to save that shit. It looked crazy. You see a crazy video of an assassination and you're not going to save it to your phone? You're actually the crazy person.
Testifying just about the chaos that day. Thousands of people running in different directions, screaming, not knowing what was going on. One of them talked about how he realized that it was a rifle shot that he heard, because someone was captured very early on, and he said it was too fast. And when he looked at the scene and assessed it, he thought someone might have been on top of a building where there was a sight line to Charlie Kirk. When he went up there, he saw what he called a sniper pad. There were some imprints in the gravel, so it looked as though someone had been there lying and had potentially shot Charlie Kirk from that angle. I believe they saw a footprint, someone climbing down the side, but it took them a while to actually figure out who this was. Tyler Robinson ultimately turned himself in to the police, even though he has not yet admitted any guilt in court.
And the other standout detail is that this will have been the first time that Charlie Kirk's relatives, his family, will have been in the courtroom with his accused killer. Who was there and what jumped out to you?
That's right. This is the first time that Erica Kirk is in the room with Tyler Robinson. And something that stood out reading about reports from that courtroom is that Erica Kirk and Charlie Kirk's parents actually left at moments when there was testimony, video about what actually happened with the shooting.
That's flat out cringe. I'm just going to be honest, that's flat out cringe. It's not funny. It's it is funny, but it's just so... It's so performative. It is so, you as a woman, I understand that you're a particularly emotional one. I understand that you're and I forgive him. And you're controlled, but you're very loose with your tears. That's the best way that I can describe it, where you can turn on the waterworks seemingly when you want, but also the tap just loosens up sometimes. I don't even know how to describe it. I would expect of any person, first of all, if you're a wife, you're not anyone with a media background. Sure, you might have been a failed actress. That's fine. You might have trafficked children in Romania. Yes, whatever. That's great. I'm happy for you that you made your money wherever you did. Maybe I don't agree with the business practices, but I still drink Nestle hot chocolate. Listen, Erica Kirk, whatever your opinion is of her, I find it really weird that as a non-media figure, really not as I just don't find her to be a very she's not ready for the camera ever.
So, these moments where that they are experiencing it, that they felt like they couldn't actually be sitting in that courtroom to listen to it because it's so hard. And they're also in the room with Tyler Robinson for the first time, the man who's been accused. And a notable person who was there, Errol, is Donald Trump Jr. He showed up, he was in that courtroom, and he actually told our correspondent, Carter Evans, when asked that He was there to support a friend.
And the hearing continues today.
He was there to support the shooter. Oh my God. All right. Well, interesting show of support from the Trumps. But keeping on the subject of the Trumps, the entirety of the family really have pocketed $3.1 billion. Investors are set to lose $7 billion, though. Listen. This new report that we're seeing is showing that the Trump family has pocketed over $3 billion from their newly launched cryptocurrency ventures, even as regular investors lost an estimated $7 billion. The explosive details, first published by the New York Times, have sparked an immediate outrage from critics who accuse the administration of using the White House to run a massive self-dealing financial scheme. According to the report, nearly 1 million individual investors have suffered devastating losses, averaging around 87% after buying into highly publicized Trump-branded meme coins and digital tokens. While everyday buyers watched their investments plummet, the president and his family safely walked away with a multi-billion-dollar windfall. Oh my goodness. The report is highlighting a glaring contrast between the administration's populist rhetoric and the harsh financial reality for ordinary people who back the family's digital assets. Listen, it was the biggest transfer of wealth from the average. This is if Bill Clinton got caught up in the .com bubble burst. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like, this is crazy that the president of the United States is going to be, this is like him investing right before, I remember in 2007, he goes on, I think it was CNN or something, he goes, this is the best time to have a mortgaging firm. This is the greatest time. We're getting into this glowing business that we have right now. The investments are being made all across the board. All of these loans are being given. People don't know where the money's coming from. It's just so much money in the housing market. Real estate's it's absolutely booming. And then less than a year later, I think it was his realty business had to go ahead and shut doors. But listen, when questioned about the staggering investor losses, Trump downplayed the situation. He told reporters before boarding Air Force One that he doesn't actively manage his own investments, that his sons run the day-to-day operations. The president instead pointed to the broader booming economy, arguing that the financial market as a whole has been a massive success under his leadership, and the White House has also pushed back heavily against the report, dismissing it as a politically motivated hit job. And despite their denials, ethical watchdogs, congressional lawmakers, they're calling for an immediate investigation. Critics argue the situation is creating a deep sense of public anger, with opponents accusing the administration of treating the presidency like a private business. You know, I think if the president wants to sell meme coins, if he wants to launch a hydration drink with the Paul brothers, if he wants to get back into selling steaks like he did back in the day, I think that it would be very frowned upon if we had, back in the 2010s or the 2000s, if we had Billy Mays doing like deals with Bush for like the as seen on TV ads. If Bush was running like watch commercials the way that Trump was nowadays, I feel as though the memes would have been out of control. They already were for the Bush administration. Everybody was making fun of him because of his like I've mentioned, his word making up. And his inability to open doors, and then his awkwardness, his getting shoes thrown at him. There was a lot to laugh at in the Bush administration. We did not need him. We didn't need him selling like silly bands on the side. We didn't need like, this silly band shaped like my head or anything like that. Whatever. Let's hear a little bit on the major reports.
President Trump pushing crypto just days after it was revealed he made more than $1 billion from it last year.
Good for him.
More than $600 million alone from
If you're stupid enough to buy his cryptocurrency, believe it or not, I think you deserve to have your money stolen.
Crypto meme coin named after Trump.
I've become a big crypto guy only for one reason. If we don't have it, China's going to have it. Very much for crypto, because
it's always the same narrative around AI, cryptocurrency, and generative media, like the film industry, all of this sort of stuff. They go, we need to invest in this market before China does. Do you want China to have all of the good computers, the good graphics, and all of the decent booming economies? Do you want China to have the first demon portal that you can talk to? Sam Altman will be like a Jesus type figure to many people. Do you want China to do that first?
It's not a question of a personal thing.
Do you want China to have predictive policing first? Or do you want the United States to be able to scan your pheromones your body's giving off and figure out whether or not you might commit a murder later in your life?
It is personal for Trump. He has made massive profits from crypto. But some of his biggest supporters who invested in Trump's meme coin have gone broke. Even as
Who
Trump's
cares about
money.
them? Wait a minute. Who cares about them? Like, I understand. The big thing here is that he, yes, is taking a bunch of money, but not really taking. These people are dumb shits, dumb enough to hand the president their money because they believe that cryptocurrency is the future. I believe, then this is just a personal thing for me. I believe if you're stupid enough to invest in cryptocurrency in the first place, no one owes you anything when that money falls out from underneath you. And let me just put it this way. I know it sounds a little different when the government is the one selling you it in this case. These are the people that are dumb enough to trust the government is, interested in their personal well-being. These are people that are dumb enough, probably, listen, they might be the types, whether they're right or left. Maybe they were big fans of the vaccine when Trump's administration was pushing it, and maybe they were big fans when Biden was pushing it. Whoever they were big fans of, they were like, let's try to go with whatever is going to benefit my party's side here. Trump is beyond that. He's beyond your party politics. He's beyond whatever this left-right bullshit dynamic. He's going, no, I just want to make money. Like, I'm in it for the profit.
Dan Alexander, senior editor at Forbes, who does extensive reporting on Trump and his finances. Dan, and part of this is that even when the coin loses value, even just the trade back and forth, right? Trump makes money off of that, whereas the person who's trading it and losing just loses. I know you've talked to
Who cares?
People. Some of whom were Trump supporters. That's why they bought them.
Yes, it sucks that the president is doing this. I agree. And there needs to be people looking into whether or not it's even legal for this to be done. And maybe if it is legal, we should have laws against it. But in the meantime, while it is fully legal for the president to push you a meme coin that you're a dumb shit enough to buy, I'm sorry, buddy. This is America. You have the freedom to be a dumb piece of shit who gets your money stolen.
Meme coin, right? They believed in him, and they've lost a lot of money after investing in the meme coin. What did they tell you?
I'm retarded.
Well,
I have the intelligence of a 7-year-old.
Many of them are really disappointed right now. One of the funny things that they told me is that they went to these meme coin dinners or events.
These are the same people that will grow up to get scammed by John Stamos AI robots that are like, I'm John Stamos and I'm reaching out only to you just because I know that you were a big fan of, what was he on? What was John Stamos on? Was it Full House? I have to make sure that I'm thinking of the right guy. Yeah, Full House and Fuller House. Oh, that only got four years of a run. Ugh, that's rough. He was also on ER, General Hospital, whatever the hell. These are the people that get scammed by John Stamos robots that are like, I need you to send me $900,000. Otherwise, I'm never going to be able to make another movie with, I don't know, Bette Midler.
And at the first one, it was outside of Washington, D.C. at his golf club in Virginia.
Remember that one?
And they said it was kind of like a wedding full of crypto bros. And people were all just talking about crypto stuff, and it was random things were happening. A billionaire gets on stage, is not Trump, and starts selling Trump watches, and Lamar Odom, the former basketball player, is walking around, and one guy says that the service is no good, he really wanted soda, and all he could get was water. So just sort of this funny mix-up of, glamour and really not glamour. And then
Glamour and really not glamour. This retard is broadcasting from Dayton, Ohio. No wonder he sounds lukewarm. I'm just going to be honest with you. I have not, he's from Dayton, Ohio. It's not the entirety of Ohio. Let me be clear here. It's just Dayton. It is only Dayton where you'll hear, these half-assed, baked. Listen, he's not even high. He sounds baked. He sounds confused. He sounds like he can't even string together a sentence, whatever. I'm going to move on from this because, honestly, it's bumming me out. It's bumming me out how much money the president is making, and he didn't even bother to pay for my shrimp cocktail when we met in Miami the other night. I'm just going to be honest with you. He's a cheap ass. He will not listen. I take his sons hunting. We go and we hang out all the time. I thought we had a wonderful relationship, but he is never the type to pick up the check. Never. I'm just going to be honest with you. Speaking of Trump, and speaking of other headlines that we can talk about because I don't want to talk about this anymore, the rapid fire section of today's headlines. Welcome to it with a lot of shit you need to know about in order to keep your media diet healthy. Trump says that the U.S. will lift sanctions on Turkey. Why? He's good enough friends with the leader.
But we begin with President Trump at the NATO summit in Turkey. He announced that the U.S. is lifting sanctions on the country after he met with Turkish President Erdogan.
The Turkish President Erdogan. If you're going to be getting paid news broadcaster money, you got to be a real news broadcaster. You can't be stumbling over your words like me.
Sanctions on the country after he met with Turkish President Erdogan. Those sanctions were meant to punish Turkey for buying a Russian missile system. President Trump was asked at the summit if the U.S. will sell F-35 fighter jets to Turkey. Listen.
We're going to be buying Turkish coffee and the little tulip glasses. Ever since I came here, I love these little glasses. They're just so... Look up Turkish tulip glasses. You're going to have these in every Starbucks. It's going to be beautiful. When you order in coffee, they give you these like little ceramic things. They look like your grandma would give them to you. But now you're going to have these beautiful, elegant Turkish pieces. Every Starbucks, they're going to have it. And then you don't get to keep it, of course. You got to bring it up back in there so that we can wash it.
Right here thinks, why wouldn't we do that? We have a better relationship with Turkey, and Turkey's been in many ways much more loyal than other countries that we think would be loyal. So something certainly we consider.
I love how you can hear somebody getting a text in the background.
CBS News intelligence and national security reporter Olivia Gazes is with the president.
I don't need her take because you guys just need my take. My take here is pretty obvious. It's an obvious take. It's not really that original. I'm going to be honest with you. He is clearing the way. He is going to make it so that we have a decent enough relationship with Turkey. And he's smart for this. He's smart for this because he realizes that Turkey, they're going to have a problem with Israel soon. That doesn't mean they have to have a problem with the United States, even though we back up Israel and we support them and we are going to interlink our military with them so heavily that we are going to be sharing intelligence apparatus, all of this sort of shit, and whatever we don't give them, they're going to steal. So listen, that's just how the Israelis are. They're conniving, they're little rats. That's how they always have been. And if you don't believe me, listen to ex-CIA officials. They will tell you their experience with Mossad, Israel intelligence is miserable. All right. Let's continue about this. He is trying to manufacture a decent enough relationship with Turkey so that when Israel does invade Turkey, they are not going to be cut off. They're going to have issues with Israel. They're going to be battling on the southern border. Israel's going to be encroaching because they have to establish further north enough borders to get greater Israel off the ground. So after that, Egypt, very likely. Egypt, I'm going to be honest with you, I think they're going to encroach on first. It's just to the southwest of them. It's probably the easiest one that they can capture since they did capture the Sinai before. Listen, whatever there is to say about this conflict, I'm glad that at least Turkey will not have an issue with us. Nigel Farage, this is his message to the people. He is officially resigning from the House of Commons, and he is running.
Today, I will resign as a Member of Parliament for Clacton-on-Sea, thereby forcing a by-election, which would happen, I hope, in short order. No, I've decided that the people of Clacton should be the judges of my actions. This will be a people versus the establishment by-election. It's a chance to stick two fingers up to the entire establishment, to frankly tell them where to go. And that is why I will be putting my name forward to stand in this by-election. I will fight to win. I will fight to continue the political revolution that reform has started. And I would say this to you, the voters of Clacton: if I win, you win. Because if I lose, they win. And we will never, with the two old parties, get the type of fundamental change that we need to fix broken Britain.
Broken Britain. Ladies and gentlemen, how fun. Triggering a Clacton by-election. Very, very fun. He doesn't want the parliament. He doesn't want investigations to decide whether or not he should continue to be their MP. He's saying there will be a by-election in the Clacton constituency because he voluntarily vacated his seat. Farage will be a candidate in that by-election, so this is not a retirement from politics. He is seeking a fresh mandate from voters, and he's framed the contest as a battle between the people and the establishment. Critics are arguing it's an attempt to shift attention away from his scrutiny over his financial disclosures and donations, and if he wins, means he will return to Parliament as MP for Clacton. The parliamentary standards investigations would still continue on him. Winning the election does not automatically end them. Does this mean he'll be Prime Minister? No. This is a by-election only for one parliamentary seat. However, he leads the Reform UK party, and if his party were to win enough seats at a future UK general election, he could potentially become Prime Minister. This by-election is widely seen as an important political test of his personal support rather than a vote to reform the government as a whole or to get him in any significant place of power. It's more so to test whether or not he's you got to put out a trial balloon. That's what people in the United States, sometimes they'll release a book to see if it sells well. Kamala did that with 107 Days because she's coming back. She's coming back in 28, and many people are mad at me because I'm predicting it, but it's true. It's true. And listen, I'm not happy about it either, but she is on the way, and we have to stop her somehow. We have to stop her before she thinks that this is a good idea. Listen, it's whatever. It's going to happen. It's regardless. She's like the flock cameras. She is unstoppable. Oh, the flock cameras, ladies and gentlemen. No, okay. 2 flock cameras were found cut in half and spray painted at Washington Avenue and Westcott in Houston. However, it's a mystery who's behind the vandalism. This is a very common thing, known to many as deflocking, where essentially you find flock cameras and find a way to vandalize them. I'm in no way encouraging people to engage in this behavior. It's it's something that ethically I find there to be some merit behind. Am I saying that I support crime in any meaningful way? Of course not. Am I saying that I want these flock cameras to be around our communities everywhere, tagging every license plate, every face, and all this sort of nonsense, adding to the continued surveillance state that we all live in? No. Of course not. So when these things happen to fall apart via natural inclination, via the transmutation of energy from one being to this inanimate object, or from nothing to this inanimate object, I'm very happy about it. And I'm very happy that it gets a message across that maybe the universe is not very happy with the idea of a universal surveillance state. Any person that tries to paint to you a utopia, be immediately suspicious. Do you know why you should never trust people who want a utopia? Because they are telling you, I like humans, I just don't like all the messy human parts.
Cameras acting as an extra set of eyes up high, now brought to the ground, their lenses covered in spray paint, an American flag waving on top. But who did this and why?
Yeah, I didn't realize that the cameras were there until you actually pointed that out.
Juan Rodriguez's business, Spar Houston, is located by Washington Avenue and Westcott, where this happened. These are flock cameras, meant to read license plates and alert police if they're connected to crimes. Rodriguez says he didn't see who did this, but he's left wondering why they did.
That's what it sounds like it would be. Somebody just protesting, their rights are being violated or something like that.
Look, I don't need the cops reading my license plate and connecting me back to that kidnapping in 2008. That's just not something I need. It wasn't my car at the time, you sons of bitches.
Flock cameras have been used in the city of Houston since 2021, according to the company. The Houston Police Department tells us they were notified that the cameras were damaged on the morning of July 4th. As far as the repair costs, HPD says it depends on who is responsible for these specific cameras. While some cameras are installed through city contracts, others are done with neighborhoods or private groups that choose to share footage with police. HPD couldn't say who was responsible for these. They say this is an ongoing investigation.
And you know what? There might be more investigations that pop up. There might be more situations that are alarmingly similar to this one. And whether or not that's a good or bad thing, I'm going to leave that to the imagination of the viewer. Ladies and gentlemen, let's cover our final story because it's a doozy. Listen, I would call it a political earthquake. New England, let me set the stage for you. We're heading up to the state of Maine, and the Democratic Party's national strategy to reclaim control of the U.S. Senate, Graham Platner, their secret weapon kind of up there. Listen, whether or not you think he's a communist, self-avowed, I might mention. He's self-avowed communist back when I guess he was just a little more stressed. I've had some bad days or some shit. Yeah, I know. I've known plenty of veterans. A lot of them make some harsh choices when they're not feeling the best on some days. That's fine. I get it. You know what I mean? You had a lot of things happen to you. Maybe you didn't. Maybe you were just some reporting officer. You went over there, you didn't see any combat, but you just like JD Vance and you just wrote articles. Maybe you were some faggy dude little like that and you want to pretend that you're some PTSD macho man. Okay, whatever. But Graham Platner, The insurgent progressive nominee, challenging longtime Republican incumbent and Miss Shaky herself, Susan Collins, is facing an immense pressure to drop out of the race following this bombshell report alleging sexual assault. The accusation has triggered a Taylor Swift, sweeping collapse of his political backing. Zohran Mamdani's even pulling out of this support vacuum. What are we doing? We're ditching him just because he might have done something? Like, I thought, blue no matter who, blue no matter who. Like, I thought that's the faggy little line we were all going with. Throwing what was considered a critical must-win seat for the Democrats into an absolute chaotic mess. The turmoil erupted after a Maine woman, not a main character, but like a woman from Maine. No woman from Maine is a main character. No man from Maine is a main character. 41-year-old Jenny Racicot, Racicot? She came forward and detailed an encounter from late 2021. Ooh, only 5 years ago. Racicot, Jenny, I'm going to call her Jenny, told reporters that Platner, a Marine Corps veteran and populist outsider, entered her home and uninvited while heavily intoxicated and forced her to have sex despite her repeatedly telling him to stop. While Platner has fiercely denied the allegation, calling it a categorically false statement, the video he posted to social media, he acknowledged the severe political damage, stating that he is canceling events and taking time to reflect on his own campaign's next steps. No. You know why I'm saying no? Because in my opinion, you don't need time to think about whether or not you should continue to run if the accusations are not true. That's just my, listen. If somebody is just popping shit off on the internet, people are going to call you a rapist. People are going to call you a child predator. And if you are not that, you should be able to stand up to the idea of the allegations. You shouldn't be like, people have been talking a lot about my pedophilic past, so I need to take a minute to step back and really think about the future of my career. What are you doing? What are you doing? You are making yourself look so guilty. Okay. The political fallout, obviously, as you can expect, has been swift, severe, devastating for the campaign. Massive waves of prominent Democrats and progressive allies have rushed to completely rescind their endorsements. Top party leaders, including Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, New York Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, issued a joint statement calling the allegations incredibly disturbing and demanding his immediate withdrawal from the race. Even Platner's most vocal progressive champions in Congress, like California Representative Ro Khanna, have pulled their support, stating firmly that violence against women represents an absolute red line. We don't even know if this is true. We don't even know whether or not it's true. Everybody was perfectly fine with the idea that, he's a womanizer, whatever. These are just allegations and whatnot. But the moment that he has an unproven allegation of rape, suddenly they're like, all right, fuck. We can't deny it anymore. That's really the bad one. All right, fine. Us Democrats have gotten in trouble for covering that one up with Clinton in the past and whatever. All right, fine. Yeah, we won't support him. That's really what's happening. It's them getting caught with their hands in the cookie jar. National and state Democrats are now in a frantic high-stakes race against the clock. Under Maine election law, Platner has until a strict 5 p.m. deadline on July 13th to officially withdraw from the ballot if the party hopes to successfully replace him with a new nominee before November. If Platner insists and resists the immense pressure and decides to stay in the race, analysts are warning that the seat is all but guaranteed to remain securely in Republican hands, effectively derailing the Democrats' broader blueprint for winning a Senate majority this fall. Shit. It is all falling apart for them. Who could have seen this coming? And Rachel Maddow, you could hear how devastated she was when she had to read this shit off. She sounded so sad.
Today, there was this thunderclap report in Politico, later followed by an interview with CNN from a woman who says that Graham Platner raped her in 2021.
Hey.
Platner has denied the allegation, but he also says he's going to take time to reflect.
What does that mean?
On the best path forward for his campaign. Since then, things have been falling apart for his campaign. Prominent Democratic endorsers of Graham Platner, like Congressman Ro Khanna of California, Senator Ruben Gallego of Arizona, today both pulled their support from Graham Platner. The very influential progressive Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts, tonight she also called on Graham Platner to withdraw from the race.
You phony fucks. You phony fucks. You were perfectly fine with this guy. You were perfectly fine with him when he was a womanizing creep. There were plenty of ideas that maybe, these encounters with women were a little odd and whatnot, but there's just enough wiggle room. There's just enough wiggle room for us to say that, maybe these are politically motivated, maybe these stories are a little bit bullshit, and maybe we can get Bernie Sanders on the stage with him. Oh, she got the story out. Don't be pussies about this. I want every Democrat who has pulled their endorsement to re-endorse him. Your Brain on Air's official re-endorsement. We didn't even rescind our endorsement. We didn't endorse him in the first place. But now your Brain on Air's official endorsement goes out. Graham Platner, take it home. Take the victory home for the Democrats in Maine. I don't even give a shit anymore because, listen, I am brave enough to go along with the scheme. I'm brave enough. I'm brave enough to realize that these pussies up in Maine that were like, blue no matter who, blue no matter who. And then the moment that they got flack because they were supporting a known rapist, a known, sexual guy who likes to play with the lines of sexuality, the moment that it's out in the open and it's undeniable, then they're like, all right, fine, I guess I'll rescind my support. You pussies. You have no backbone. You have no sense of going, yeah, I support a pedophile. What do you want? I think he's better for the country than your fucking... I think my pedophile is better than your pedophile. My rapist is better than your rapist. That's what the argument becomes. Ultimately, that's what it becomes.
The Maine Democratic Party this afternoon called on him to withdraw as the Democratic Party's nominee for Senate. Now, the Democratic Senate Campaign Committee...
We would like to invite Graham Platner onto the show and have him explain these absolutely nothing accusations. If they are nothing, if they are like absolutely, if she's making shit up, listen, Graham, it's up to you to tell me that, like, if you tell me she's making shit up, you will be able to come on this podcast and you'll be able to explain yourself and you'll be able to try to rebuild your image. But I swear to God, you just got to be honest with us. You got to stop this bullshit. You got to go, I didn't do anything, but let me take a minute to think about whether or not I'm going to continue to run. You guilty piece of shit.
Done the same. This is the Senate Committee for the National Democratic Party, which helps Democratic candidates in all Senate races in the country. They're now saying that if Graham Platner remains the nominee in Maine, the Democratic Party's Senate campaign arm will no longer provide any support to the campaign
pussies
in the state of Maine. Now, on top of that, just in the last few minutes, the chairman of the National Democratic Party, Ken Martin, has also said that it is time for Graham Platner to end his campaign.
Well,
now, under state law in Maine, as long as Graham Platner withdraws from the race within a week from now, as long as he withdraws by July 13th, 1 week from today, the state Democratic Party can choose someone to replace him. They'll have another 2 weeks. They'll have until July 27th.
And guess who they're going to grab? They're going to look at their bin of people that they have photos of having sex with children with, and they're going to grab some fucking suit, some fucking, oh, look at this guy. He's like a farmer like you guys, except, he ran a sex trafficking operation from when he was 20 to something, and then he became the CEO of his dad's, Mint Mobile company or some shit like that. It's like, here he is. He's just like you. He's just like you, except he worked harder than you pieces of shit. And he actually has money and he lives the American dream. And you should vote for him because he believes that you should be allowed to kill babies.
Do so. All that means is that this is a story that's going to resolve quickly, one way or the other. I think in normal times, 99 out of 100 political observers and probably 99 out of 100 just regular people would say that all signs point to the exit tonight for this candidate, Graham Platner. That said, when's the last time it felt to you like we were living in normal times?
Oh,
They're not normal times, and I'm not making any predictions as to what is going to happen, but I will tell you honestly that the wheels are coming off, including some important financial considerations to take into effect for the future of the Platner campaign should he choose to stick it out.
She knows that her best chance at getting their best chance really right now at getting the Senate majority back is if they tell this bitch to eat it. They tell this bitch, you need to shut your mouth. You need to stop talking to Jake Tapper at CNN. You need to stop going and running your big fat ugly mouth, and you need to shut the fuck up. That's what the Democrats, they need to go on the offensive. That's what they're going to do. I promise you in a second, that's exactly what they're going to do.
He was heavily intoxicated.
Here's the woman.
With me and wasn't listening when I said no. And
you were saying no, don't, over and over.
I remember.
He was like, you should have told him don't a few more times. A guy, Jake Tapper.
I've had to recall a lot of this. This is something that I tried for many years to forget. And so small details, might get past me. But yes, I remember very
small details might get past me. Like the small details of when I was raped. Small details.
And I'm not into this. I remember that the most. So saying that the most firmly. I remember specifically him grabbing at my chest, and I hit his hand and I said, "Don't touch me." And I remember that during the altercation.
And then he kept going.
Yeah.
I know that.
So she's had this from 2021, and she chose to come out right before. By the way, this woman is a plant. And I'm not saying that this maybe didn't happen, this whatever, but they found her. They found her and they said, sit on your allegation. You know what I mean? I'm not going to say who is at her door, whether or not they're DNC officials or anybody. They showed up to her door and they went, just sit on this for a little while. We have to decide whether or not we're even going to be able to find a replacement, but then we're going to let you have your story told. We're going to let you go ahead and we're going to let you say whatever you gotta, but we need to give us time to find a nice Jew. We're going to throw a nice Jew in his nice spot. Some dude from the coast of Maine, you know what I mean? He's lived here. He doesn't know anything about oyster fishing like this fucking guy, but he breaks challah and whatnot on Passover. And we're gonna figure out a good replacement candidate, but just do not come out against him until right before he has the chance to resign. That's exactly what they wanted. They wanted a Joe Biden type situation where a disastrous public event, whether it's an accusation of rape or if it's him performing terribly on a debate stage, they wanted to sabotage him. They wanted to sabotage him when they knew that it was right before the buzzer, right before they were like, all right, shit, we're not going to be able to close it before summer ends. All right, fine, get this presidential candidate in. Kamala's there. All right, now let's just get this guy in there. Oh, boom. And that's what the Democrats always do. They beat you right at the buzzer.
You have been very reluctant to tell this story. Very.
Why?
Reluctant.
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised you're here.
Thrown up 3 times today.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so performative. I've thrown up 3 times today. I don't even believe you anymore.
Why did you ultimately decide to do it? Why?
Because I like money. And I like attention.
A few reasons. One of the biggest ones is that I think that there are a lot of men in this world relying on the silence of women.
Many. There are many. Here's the video he posted denying the allegations.
I wanted to directly address the troubling, serious, and false allegations against me. Any accusation of non-consensual behavior is categorically false.
What? Okay, but if it's categorically false, why do you need to take time to reflect on how your campaign is going to proceed? CNN giving us brief clips, but I want to hear his whole thing. You know what? We'll cover it later. I don't care. We don't have time for it. What we do have time for is that author Stephen King right now is taking this as a great opportunity to come out and defend Graham Platner amid allegations of sexual assault. Listen, I love this little dorky, mousy son of a bitch. He's always been a creep, writing about kids having sex in the sewer, in It. If you've never read any of his books, I understand being a person where you're like, oh, he just tells good stories and whatnot. Dolores Claiborne, it's a beautiful story, but it is shown that this man has a lot of demented things on his brain. And he, with his pedophilic tones that he has in It, when you actually go into the story, it's bizarre. He's just a creepy little guy who likes creepy little stories and maybe creeping out on little kids. I don't know what Stephen King's up to, but he's always up to some weird shit. Here he's taking a grand opportunity to defend Graham Platner amid these sexual assault allegations.
Democrat Graham Platner says he's taking the time to reflect on the best path forward in the Maine Senate race after a woman from Maine accused him of sexually...
Because, you know, when someone falsely accuses you of sexual assault, I don't know if this has ever happened to you before, but when you get falsely accused of sexual assault, generally speaking, you know, it's a great idea to pull back from the public. It's a great idea to say, now, I know these aren't true, but I really got to think about whether or not I even want to do this anymore, guys. Like, because if people are going to be doing this, I don't see a career for me.
Assaulting her. Platner is denying the allegation, but he stopped short of saying he would end his campaign. He signaled, though, he is weighing its future as he seeks to unseat Republican Susan Collins. The woman that brought these new claims forward is Jenny Rasico. She told CNN and Politico Platner drunkenly raped her in 2021, recalling that night he came to her house uninvited.
I don't want to say that he looks like a drunk raper, but he really does. The facial hair, the kind of choppy top cut, and I understand veterans generally don't have great haircuts, and that's just the truth. It's just like a fact. Men don't care about their hair as much once they've been through what a lot of veterans have been through, and I admire it, and most of the time they actually have pretty cool haircuts and whatnot. Like if they do like a ponytail or some shit like that, or they really let it go, like kind of a mullet kind of I've seen people who do the full shave all the time. Like there are some really cool military veteran haircuts, and even when they don't really do anything with it, when they just kind of let it go shaggy, I still think it looks cool as shit, because like, oh, that's a guy that still has like an AK-47 in his garage and like is kind of the coolest person that you know. But Graham Platner does not have that energy. He has the energy. This haircut looks like an old pedophile they'd make. You know when they, back in the 60s, back when pedophile and gay was the same thing, where they were like, go, little boys, when you're out fishing, be careful, because a man in glasses with a receding hairline is going to come up to you and he's going to be like, I like fishing too. Do you like fishing? Like that's Graham Platner's energy.
He had kind of like jumped on top of me and indicated that he had intentions that were sexual in nature. And I remember just...
That sounds like bullshit. He came at me with like, wait, I want to hear her exact things that got to the sexual intentions, sexual in nature.
That he had intentions that were sexual in nature.
What was it?
On top of me and...
On top of me?
Indicated that he had intentions that were sexual in nature.
How did he indicate it?
And I remember just at first being like, hey, I'm not into this. I remember...
She talks about it like it's a dream that she had. She talks about it like it's this very loose thing. Sister, this was 5 years ago. This should not be cloudy.
An instant where I had recognized that he wasn't listening to me. It wasn't just that he wasn't hearing me or whatnot.
In a video posted to social media, Platner called the account false and claimed the allegations are coached and coordinated by out-of-state establishment operatives.
Oh my God.
I wanted to directly address the troubling, serious, and false allegations against me. Any accusation of non-consensual behavior is categorically false. Throughout it all, you never turned your back on me, and I will not turn my back on you now. Every one of you deserves to see that vision come to fruition and see Susan Collins defeated.
He's running.
Platner secured the Senate nomination by receiving more votes than any Democratic primary candidate in Maine history. And many of those voters have stood by him despite previous scandals. But now Platner's opponents and supporters are speaking out about the allegations, with many withdrawing support and calling for action.
Jamie Agelet is joining us live in the studio this morning. Jamie, who are we hearing from and what are they saying?
What are they saying?
Yes, Nora, support for Platner is fading fast, from federal lawmakers to groups right here at home. We're now seeing growing calls for Platner to drop out of the race for Senate. His opponent, Senator Susan Collins, calling the allegations appalling. But it's not just Republicans who want him out. Democratic nominee for governor Hannah Pingree writing, Graham Platner should exit the race immediately. She says no party should stand behind a candidate facing allegations of assault. Organizations like Planned Parenthood also pulling their support and financial endorsements. A spokesperson saying the Action Fund unequivocally believes women.
We unequivocally believe women, and we're absolutely, listen, we're okay with like third term, we're okay with like as late as you want. Planned Parenthood is not this perfect organization, by the way. Absolutely not. I feel like a lot of people should look into the intricacies that they have that make them a little, you know, maybe not worthy of public money. Maybe, like, I'm just going to be honest with you. Planned Parenthood makes me concerned sometimes.
Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren, who previously called Platner my kind of guy, is now saying Democrats need people in Washington who represent their values. Platner is holding on to some support, though. Author Stephen King, writing on X, that he hopes Platner does not drop out of the race, adding that he thinks many politicians have concerning behavior.
Let me read you Stephen King's exact tweet on X. Quote from Stephen King. Tell you what, if you knew the whole truth about everyone in the Senate and the House of Reps, those chambers would be dead empty. Jesus said, let him without sin cast the first stone. Oi, oi, oi. I thought you were the very anti-Christian guy. Like, I hate all these dumb religious people in my books. All these stupid religious people that I make the villains of my stories. You fucking loser, piece of shit, drunkie. Go do cocaine again. It's the last time you made any decent books.
Interestingly, no word yet from Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders, who has been a staunch supporter of Platner's.
Hell yeah.
Now, Platner posted on social media to
feel
say
the burn!
That allegations are false, but also that he's taking time to reflect on what this all means for the future of his campaign. If he does decide to drop out, he must do so by July 13th. That's next Monday.
How fun. Well, ladies and gentlemen, whether or not you think he should drop out, whether or not you think this woman's lying, whether or not you think anything, let your opinions be known. Talk about it with your fellow cohorts. Talk about it with your parents when you go to see them for the 4th of July. All right, wait a minute. Never mind. Maybe next year, because, Memorial Day, Labor Day, whichever one. Labor Day, because you can't wear white after it. That's how I remember which one comes later in the summer, which one comes first. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've enjoyed today's collection of stories. I had a wonderful time gathering them for you. I hope you had an even more wonderful time listening to them. If you want to be here for the rest of this week's episodes, we release a new episode Monday through Friday. Subscribe if you want more, like if you liked it, ring the bell for notifications. In the meantime, I've been Ollie Vogt Larson with your Brain on Air. Thank you so very much for listening. I'll catch you in tomorrow's broadcast, and bye-bye.